All right, guys, let's talk about gas. So, a lot is often made about gas prices in California. Oh my God, it's so expensive in California. Like, why don't you leave? Because gas is so expensive. And I will concede that California's gas is pretty expensive in comparison to some other areas. I remember when I drove down to Arizona for last year's RTR. I was surprised how much cheaper gas was in Arizona. And it was like it was like, what? How much per gallon? And it was like really crazy to me. But I also think sometimes the gas prices in California are entirely over exaggerated. And I don't even think it's just California. I think in general, a lot of the practices of getting at least the cheapest gas you can get remain standard from state situation to state situation. Everywhere you go, just off the highway or just along popular travel paths or in high commuter areas or high traffic areas for tourists, gas is gonna be more expensive. Why? Because they rely on human laziness. They know that you're more likely to grab the closest gas you see, especially as you're starting to really run out of gas, rather than do some extra driving in the hopes of saving a few dollars. And especially if you're a tourist or a traveler, you're in areas you're unfamiliar with. So you're like, well, I don't really know the area and I just need the first gas I can see. And so you speed to that first gas location that you see and you fill up your car. And a lot of times, and this happens to me too, it happened definitely on the trip up to Vancouver because I didn't want to do a lot of diverting. I hit the first gas station I saw when I started to get low, or if I was near gas and I glanced at the gauge and I was getting low and I wasn't sure how long it was going to be, then I would take the first gas I could get directly off the highway. And usually this is a mistake. It is not the way to most efficiently get a good deal on gas. Now, there are some interesting apps out there, including Gas Buddy, that exists specifically to guide you to the cheapest gas there is. A lot of times they offer benefits and other things, like with memberships or premium offers or whatever. But, it's only actually gas price information is available in a free app we all have access to, and it's called Google, which I will get into later. But I think the basic problem is that most of us are lazy, and a lot of us hit these high gas prices because of laziness. And I admit I am as much a victim of that as anything else. It just takes a little bit of effort and planning and looking at your gas tank, especially when you've covered a lot of miles, to anticipate making things a little bit cheaper for you. And just to speak to the people who are kind of living more where my lifestyle is right now, if you're living in one city, get familiar with different places you can get gas. Like when you're going specifically to your house and your house is in a certain location, then it's like, I need to get from point A to point B, and I don't want to go to point D when point C is right along that route. And so you're very reluctant on a tired day after work to take yourself way out of your path in order to get cheaper gas. Even if you know it exists, you just want to grab it along your path home and then go home. But your home is your van. So your house is already with you. All you need to figure out is, where is the best place for me to get gas, and how can I work that into my day in a logical way? And also, you can plan. When money is tight and jobs are short and I'm not really picking up the work I want to pick up, and even the apps like Uber Eats or whatever is really, really slow, I then need to stay as still as possible and not move as much as possible. Now, that never means hanging out in the same neighborhood for a week, but it might mean just going 2 blocks over or 2 blocks up, or a little bit more on the main street than a little bit off the main street. And so the car is moving enough to look like somebody is leaving and moving on a daily basis. And I may be sipping on gas to get through that time. But that means if I need to travel a distance I know exists to get to the cheapest gas possible, which may not be near where I am parking because of work or whatever, then I need to make a plan before my gas is too low and I get too desperate to say, hey, I know there's cheap gas at this gas station in San Pablo. I want to make sure I have time to go there. So when I get it to this point, I at least need to take $20 and go throw it in the tank at the place closest to me. But that means you need to be aware and paying attention if you live in a certain city or area about where the best gas prices are, because it generally doesn't change. Now, gas stations change their prices as, gas prices, ebb and flow, but that station that's, let's say, $3.20 per gallon may go up to, let's say, $3.40 per gallon. But it's still 20 cents cheaper, let's say, than the gas station that's closer to the center of a downtown area. And so, yes, it's more than it was like 2 weeks ago, but it's still cheaper than the more expensive option in your area. And that part doesn't usually change. The fact that it's cheaper, it may not be as cheap as it was in some previous instance, but it's probably going to stay cheaper than competitors who are closer to downtown areas or closer to main travel routes or closer to whatever. So these things are really, really important to note and keep track of, especially when you're going to be in an area for an extended amount of time. And even if you're in an area that's allegedly expensive, like California, these rules will still help you save on gas. So given that, let's actually look at some of the prices in California, some of the average prices according to GasBuddy. So for comparison's sake, let's take a look at some of the alleged average gas prices in California. This is according to GasBuddy, which you can see in the upper corner here. What's this, GasBuddy? So according to this, in Modesto, gas is about $3.17, and that's the lowest price here. Coming down to Sacramento, which is the capital of California, we have $3.35 per gallon. Going down to San Jose, just picking some random places in California, $3.47 on average. In Oakland, it is $3.53 on average. San Francisco, which seems low to me. It says it's $3.60 on average. That feels really, really low. And the highest is in Los Angeles at $3.77 per gallon on average. And GasBuddy has access to a lot of information because with the GasBuddy app, if you've ever used it, you can log into it and you can search for cheap gas in your area. The apps are useful, but also Google, a lot of times, if you search gas on Google, like gas near me, you'll also have access to that information. So the apps are nice, but also a lot of this information is also directly on Google, so you may not need the extra app. There are gas benefits. I had a GasBuddy card, but I kept running into stations where I couldn't use it. It was really weird, so I gave up on it. But we're just going to use GasBuddy as a reference just because it has all this information. Now, the interesting thing is it says the average in San Francisco is $3.60. But what does that really mean? So the last time I was in San Francisco, I went ahead and took a photo of some gas prices, which is this photo right here that's coming up. Maybe. There we go. And so when I was in sort of downtown San Francisco, the gas price that I ran across was $4.79. And I think when people talk about how expensive gas is, specifically in California, they're talking about numbers like this. I mean, like at this point, we're over the halfway point of knocking next to $5. And if you want the real premium gas, it is going to cost you $5, whereas the regular is $4.79. Now, on the flip side, in Oakland, I found gas that was $3.09 for regular. I didn't get a picture of all the gas prices, I don't think. But that's a huge difference. Let me see this one. Yeah, it's just basically the same thing. It was nighttime and I was in a rush. But yeah, so like we're talking about the difference between we're talking about $4.79 and $3.09. Like that is a huge difference. So when we're dealing with the myth of crazy gas prices, I think also you have to realize, like, living in an area, you're going to be able to find cheaper gas. Now, like I said, when you're getting like straight off the highway, a lot of times you can only go with what you can find quickly because you need to get on the road and you don't want to be driving through town trying to find gas that's cheaper. And the only reason I found this is not the average price I personally run across. Usually I can find gas for less than $3.50. I very rarely have to pay over that per gallon. $3.09 is very, very rare. And this is the cash price. Usually it tacks on about $10 more per gallon when I have to pay with $10, 10 cents, not $10, 10 cents more. So even if I came to this gas station, it might be $3.19. Which is close to the Modesto price in our Gas Buddy example. Okay, so my tablet is able to record. It is running Windows 10, so this is not the same interface as on your phone, but all of this information would be available on your smartphone, Android, whatever, anything that has Google Maps in it. I don't know if Apple Maps or any other alternate mapping service has this, but so obviously when you're traveling on the highway, you don't know the area. So going into town and driving around trying to find the cheapest gas, like that might not be the most efficient way to find cheaper gas. So if you just go and search gas near me on Google, and you're traveling down the highway and you're like, wow, man, that gas is super expensive. A lot of times it'll show you gas prices in the area for regular, and even if, let's say, you want not regular but premium, it's going to follow the logic of if regular is the cheapest at a certain location, and premium would also be the cheapest at this location. And I just did a random gas near me, which may not be smart because it kind of says, ooh, she's in this area, but you know that anyway. I'm mostly in Berkeley or Oakland. So, at the top here, the closest thing to me is $3.70, and that is at an Arco gas station. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to pay $3.70. Can I do a little bit better? The next one is $3.96, but quick serve is $3.50. So that's the cheapest one that's on this list. Now, every once in a while, you don't actually get the gas prices because somebody hasn't recorded it or something like that. Also, sometimes, honestly, I've gone to a gas station and it was shut down. So at this point, you're asking yourself, well, how far is this actually from where I am? And I'm not going to click on directions because I feel like that'll reveal too much. But then you'll be able to click on directions. And if you can kind of see where you are on the map, like if you generally know where you are, you can be like, okay, I'm willing to come off the highway and go in a little bit deeper just to get gas that's a little bit cheaper, like off of the main road. So this is another way to just search for cheap gas in an area that you're unfamiliar with. And all you have to do is ask yourself how far you're willing to drive to get gas a little cheaper, because it may be that the diversion is just too much to be worth it. But as you can see near me, we have variations from $3.50 to $3.96 just in the first three choices. There's a choice that's, almost 50 cents cheaper than this choice. And then scrolling down, do we get any cheaper? Not really. $3.50 seems to be about the cheapest. So if $3.50 is the cheapest, like really, really close to you, I'm lying. All the way down here is $8.30, but I think this one is a little bit further away. So it's a question of, would you want to go this far just to get a little bit cheaper gas? And depending on your situation, it may be worth it. It also may depend on how much you have in your tank at that exact moment, and how much going that far would derail you from your travel plans. But this is available directly on Google, so like you don't necessarily need additional apps, though they exist. And sometimes they also have gas benefits and other benefits that you can take advantage of, but also simply doing this. Costco also usually has pretty cheap gas, so if you have a Costco card, and I don't know if has anybody used their Costco membership exclusively for gas and not used it for anything else? I would love to find that out, so leave that in the comments if you've ever done that. This is a really easy way to like search for gas in an area that you're unfamiliar with. And when you live in an area, just keep your eyes open. Like, look around and be like, what? I didn't know you could get gas, quote unquote, that cheap in California or wherever you are, or other expensive area. And then like jot it down, you know, if you have to like stop for like 10 minutes, find a parking spot and like make a note, great. I do not advocate doing things on your phone while driving. I personally try not to do it as much as possible. I'm not going to pretend I've ever been perfect, but I definitely try to avoid like fooling with my mobile device too much once I'm driving, especially not seeing something randomly on the road. But if you're like, hey, I just want to pull over a second so I remember this, because I remember I went to a haunted house with my friend and we spotted this really cheap gas, and we were like, man, we need to come back here when we're done so that we can fill up her car. And then we did the haunted house and left, and we kind of couldn't remember how we got to the haunted house since it wasn't like a familiar road to us. And we ended up finding the gas station again, but it took a second. And if you're with a friend or a companion or someone who can, you know, write, you like make a mental note of that cross street, you know, because I think it was like across the street from us. It was weird. And the way Google was directing us out, I don't think we would have naturally passed it again. So that was a situation. But a lot of it is just paying attention to your surroundings. And when you're in unfamiliar surroundings, like, use technology. It's available to us now. And the easiest thing you're going to get is like usually straight off the highway, but that's going to be the most expensive thing you're going to get. And if you go to a tourist area or a popular area, anything close to that area is going to be more expensive than going like sometimes just a little bit further out. And sometimes this is as crazy as a couple of blocks that they don't really consider in the hot zone, where suddenly gas prices will drop. So a little bit of effort and a little bit of research can save you some money on gas, even in an allegedly expensive area. So in conclusion, one of the most important things you can do in van life is pay attention. And this is going to be valid for all kinds of resources that you need to supplement the fact that you're not in a house anymore. The things you need are around you. You just need to figure out where they are. There's really nothing you can't get as soon as you figure out how to get it. And in the case of gas, especially when you're in the same area for an extended amount of time, every time you cross a gas station, just glance up for a second and go, oh, that was cheap. Or if you notice a certain area is cheaper than another area, then, you know, just make a note of that area. So even if you have to casually get gas, you know, if you drive through that area, you're probably going to casually find cheaper prices than you would elsewhere. For example, if I know I'm going to be in San Francisco for an extended amount of time, I try to get gas before I cross the bridge. Because I already know anything in the East Bay, it's going to be cheaper than in the actual city of San Francisco. And there are variables in San Francisco. There are places in San Francisco that are sometimes $1 cheaper than what you're going to find like in downtown in the busy areas. So you just need to pay attention. Yes, some states are going to be more expensive than other states, but how big that expense gap is really up to you. And these even apply to people who live in houses. Like, you know, just make that extra effort to go that 5 blocks out your way and you could save some money. I guess that's all I got for this video. Hope it wasn't too boring. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a blast with the rest of your day.